I'm Denby Freeland. I'm with Hawaiʻi Land Trust, and I work outdoors. I'm outside right now. It's getting a little more windy. I'm here at Waihee Refuge, and I apologize. I have a pretty flimsy tripod, so I'll try and stabilize it as much as possible. But anyway, I work with Hawaiʻi Land Trust. We're a statewide organization, and we preserve the lands that sustain us. So that's not only conservation sites that we work with, we also work with farmlands, ranch lands, a variety of different properties. So some of the properties the Land Trust owns, like this one here at Waihee, it was purchased in 2004. And then other sites we work with the landowners. So you can see, so I'm at Kalai Ili Ili right now. That's Kehoni in the background. And we've got the sand dunes behind me and Mauna Kahalavai. It's actually Mauna Alani specifically that we're looking at the moment. But I do not do well if I'm at a computer for many days throughout the week. I prefer to work outdoors, and I like working outside with children. So I've done this type of work for over 20 years. I've also worked in arts education. So I like the so-called informal educational settings. So Hawaiʻi Land Trust purchased this property at Waihee for 3 reasons. One is ecological restoration. We wanted to restore the site so it's a habitat for native animals to be able to come and live safely. We also wanted to preserve the cultural resources that are here. This was once a royal village. And the third reason is education. So that's where I come in. I'm the education coordinator for the site. So I mostly work with elementary school kids. And that is because logistically, it's easier for elementary school to be able to do a field trip. High school and middle school, it gets more complicated with the student schedule with all the different teachers involved in their school day. So, so people come here to Waihee. It's of course been a little bit different lately with the pandemic. I'm gonna show you guys some of the things that I use. Because even though we're outside, I like my visuals. And these are not things that I can order. So I make all my own visuals. This is a pop-up book that I made just to show some of the significant things that are here at Waihee. So I often use this to explain about the fish ponds. I worked at Hawaii Nature Center for a long time. They still have a lot of the props that I made for our programs, for their programs now. But I like to use things like this just to help keep this. I talk about how we do things by hand so we don't disrupt the cultural resources any further. These are some bird bones that I found at the ocean's edge. I like to use these when I talk about endangered birds. It's missing its head because it was probably bit off by a predator. So it's not gross. Since it was in the ocean, the fish ate off all of the bird and left the skeleton. So that's something the kids can touch. I like to use these different things when I can. These are some turtle eggs DLNR gave me like 15 years ago. Since this is a cultural site, we integrate the culture as much as possible. We do have Hawaiian artifacts, mea kupuna, that we're able to show the students. We integrate it into our lessons. And these are things that the kids can touch. We pass them around. So it's definitely not a look but don't touch kind of day. And then the other thing that I've been doing with the pandemic is making teacher kits. So it's lesson plans and materials that the teachers can borrow. So this is part of a marine debris kit that I have. And so the teachers borrow it for 3 to 5 days. So this one starts out with just getting a little sense of place. It's a map of the Pacific Ocean. There we are in the middle. And you know, with all of my things, it's really important to keep it positive. And that can be challenging when you're outside because it can be windy, hot, the weather can change. And then it can also be the subject matter can be challenging. So, you know, marine debris can be a lot of gloom and doom. be like, oh, good job, you guys are recycling. You didn't bring your plastic bottles, but look, here's some things that we found from Asia on the beach here at Waihee. So I always incorporate some other activities to put a positive spin on things, because with all of us, especially children, I'm gonna put you guys back on me. It's important to keep it positive, and if it's something they enjoy, then it's something they are also gonna wanna take care of, because like ʻŌlena, I had a lot of time outside, thankfully, throughout Hawaii, and I really appreciate our natural resources. But I don't think a lot of students now are getting those same opportunities. So it's important that we're able to provide them when we can. So I do work with the teachers about the lessons that they're going to do when they're here. I try and keep it in line with their curriculum. I also keep my things in line with the DOE curriculum. So for those of you that are interested in working outdoors, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities throughout the island. I encourage you to volunteer just to see if it is something you want to get into. We have volunteer opportunities here at Waihee several times throughout every month. We also have a site in Nu'u where we are just started welcoming volunteers once a quarter. But a lot of organizations are always welcoming volunteers. But I think it's a good way just to see what the field is like, what it's like to be out in the field. It's also a great way to meet those of us that are in this profession, because once you get a job interview, then you can use one of us as a reference. So we do have internship opportunities. We work with the Kupu program. We have Kupu interns this summer. We also work with the ʻAhupuaʻa Stewards Program. I'm going to change my background view for you guys. So the ʻAhupuaʻa Stewards Program is something we just started last year in partnership with Maui College. It's a 6-week summer program. And it's my coworker, Scott Fisher, and myself that teach it. And we spend several days here at Waihee, and we also go out to Nu'u, but it's a nice program because it gives a lot of exposure to other organizations and other people in conservation. So last year they got to meet up with Leeward Haleakala, Nature Conservancy. We went to Kailoko, DLNR. So I feel like it's a really good overview of what's happening on Maui. We are in the process of planning that right now. So the information will probably get released in the next couple of weeks, and I'll forward that to Huliau. It's only 12 people, only spots for 12 people. It does include a $1,000 stipend, and it fills up quickly. So, and then I also like to have volunteers that can help me teach programs as well as make props. I'm actually going to be reaching out to the high schools later this year and in the fall, because making the different props that I use for programs is really fun. It is time consuming. And with the teacher kits, I do have to start making multiples of them. So keep an eye out for different opportunities and different ways that you can help us out. Thank you.